Hi everyone, this is Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk, Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours, and YouTube channel Amanda Ellis 11. Thank you very much for watching. This is the July video linking into my work with Archangel Metatron, the 7 other Archangels, and colour therapy. So I'm a few days late. I suspect probably this will now go online tomorrow by the time it's uploaded, so it'll be 4th of July. So happy Independence Day for the USA. Hope you have a good holiday period. I'm also picking up 7-7 energy as I'm just sitting here, and which is actually, the 7th is on Friday. So I think it's just a numerological energy that I'm picking up more than anything, although it may also be tied into the 7 Archangel sprays that I have produced and aren't yet online, but they will be within days. So maybe that's the day they finally appear. I don't know. It's due to it's up to my web manager really to get them up online. So I'm sure he's working as fast as he can. Like lots of people, I'm sure he's juggling lots of projects. So bear with us. They will be online soon. 7 new Archangels for you to be connecting with via me. Zadkiel, Chamuel, Raphael, Uriel, Jophiel, who have I forgotten? Gabriel, is that 7? Michael. You'll see them soon enough on my website. I'm going to actually just start by spraying the Chamuel spray, Archangel Chamuel, which is to do with love and peace. And beautiful bottle. Can you see they're like they're dual coloured bottles? So this one's like a beautiful pearlized white and pink. So let's just connect into the energy of Archangel Chamuel as we set our intentions and ask for guidance for July. So bringing in the energy of Chamuel and the energy of love and peace on the pink ray, and just letting that come down around you and envelop you. And it's as though Chamuel is wanting to give all of us just a big hug this month. There's a lot of warmth coming through at my shoulders. I'm being told to remind you that you all have your own angel wings, and they are symbolic of being able to soar, be able to fly, be able to really reach for your dreams this month, with the support of so many archangels that are around us. One of the things that came through, and I really want to expand on, and in fact it might become a book, is an Archangel Code of Conduct. I wanted to talk a little bit about that in this video. And I've actually got some cards here which I want to use, which are the Grace cards by Cheryl Richardson. And they just have they're very simple. They've just got one word on them, but I feel as though they're very in tune with this new Archangel Code that wants to come through. Those of you that follow my Facebook page know I talked a little bit about what I witnessed in Cardiff on Friday night. Took my daughter and her friend to see a Justin Bieber concert, which was great fun. They enjoyed it, but just, you know, I was hanging around waiting for them basically to come out of the concert, and I was just witness really to I'm hearing that word witness is quite important. I was witness to some pretty spectacular behaviour around me, which you probably will see in many major city centres, certainly sadly in the UK, on a Friday night or a Saturday night. So it was the hen parties, the stag parties, but also it was just young people, but I actually want to call them young people to me because I've got teenagers in my house. That's a young person. I'm talking more about people in their 20s and 30s who maybe should know a little bit better, you know, staggering around drunk, inebriated, swearing, you know, looking worse for wear, with everything hanging out for everybody to see, not in a particularly dignified way. And it really saddened me actually, and I really felt exposed to it, and I felt as though I was witnessing just a different reality that was out there, having been in Dublin the weekend before and just being immersed in this beautiful angelic energy, which was talking about, you know, old-fashioned values maybe, such as, you know, honor and integrity and grace and valor. And I looked around and I thought, where is it? You know, where is it? And I actually feel quite passionate about this. And it's not about being a prude. It's not about going back to some idealized version of my youth. But I do feel that it's tied into the ascension process and the fact that we have got these different realities coming through big time now, and we're really able to see the difference between those that are living a more spiritual life and those that are drowning, to be perfectly honest, in their own shadow, is what I want to say. And that's not to say people can't go out and party, people can't go out and have a drink. I love all that myself, to be perfectly honest with you, but you know, there is a line that is being crossed at the moment, and standards are being erased right across, you know, society. And it's as though the archangels want to come in and to remind us gently and with love and with compassion about what we have forgotten, what we've forgotten as a species, what it actually is to be a divine human, you know, somebody that has that innate wisdom and light within themselves, and that if you have that, you don't behave in certain ways. And that's coming through very, very strongly at the moment. So let's just pull 3 cards from here and see which particular values come out. I just want to say that the archangels want to draw to our attention, because it might be that one value, there is a particular archangel that wants to own it, for want of a better word, or help to steer us. Because even if we're not doing that sort of behaviour ourselves, we are exposed to the collective consciousness that is around us. And interestingly, this morning on Facebook, I know I mentioned the Leo King a bit, but it's just because I resonate with his work, and he put a post up saying that he'd been, I can't remember how many years sober, he'd been quite a few years sober and quite a few years off marijuana, and you know, he'd really cleaned up his act within the last 5 years, say, and it was also almost like the anniversary of his rebirth. And I thought that took a lot of guts to come out and say that, for one thing, but I also really applaud it, because in a way I feel there's a synchronistic message here which I'm needing to bring through for you, which is about clean living. And it's as though we've got extremes in our world. We've got people and groups linked to certain religions where it's all or nothing, you know, and we don't have to go back to the days of sackcloth and ashes, you know, and no pleasure, and because, you know, food and drink is pleasurable, socializing is pleasurable, but there is that fine line that a lot of people are not appreciating is even there at the moment. And I feel as though the angels are coming to help us clean up our act, actually. And I've definitely noticed myself, since bringing their message through and their energy through, that they are definitely making me aware of certain foods that I'm eating, certain drink that I'm drinking, and they're saying, you know, you need to cut down, you need to cut back, you need to introduce these things into your diet. And actually they really are, you know, going on at me now, so I have to take notice of that. But it's not a hardship, because actually it's as though the taste for certain foods has literally just fallen away within the past week. But I think it all comes into this this clean living era, which needs to come back. Okay, so let's see what the 3 values are that are coming through this July 1st for us to be looking at. And I'll just close my eyes so I can't actually see which one we're going to pick. Okay, so the first one that wants to come out is that one, self. The second one that wants to come out is choice. I think that was one of the qualities we talked about right at the start of the year. The third one that wants to come out is peace. She came out, I'm sure, before. She's come out a few times. Let's take one more. 4. Want an even number. 4. Fourth quality. Ooh, that one jumping out. Act. Okay. So we've got self, choice, peace and act. I'm actually going to read these as a block together, okay, because they're feeling as though they're coming out as a story. And I do want to put self and choice together, okay? So if you look at the cards, they're rather beautiful. We've got a lady there sort of wrapped in white, which is about purity. And it says, go within. When we invest more energy in developing our spiritual lives, the outer world begins to take care of itself. And then we've got the card of choice. Okay, so I'm just going to put those down because I need to tune into them myself. And, you know, the obvious thing is that July is a month for more self-care. Certainly in the, excuse me, the Northern Hemisphere, we've got summer holidays coming up where we have a chance to do that. And we'll be doing that. Which is the angel that wants to come through for these qualities? Okay, I feel it's Raphael. So I'm going to pull the Raphael spray down. Okay, this is what it looks like. And I'm going to spray it and see what message Raphael has for us. Coming in on the green ray of balance. So self and choice. Raphael, what is it that you wish to communicate to us? There is a choice in every moment, in every day, in terms of how you honour your own self, your own body, your own boundaries, your own world. It isn't up to anybody else but you to make the changes that need to be made now, to clean up your act, to clean up your environment, to clean up your home, to clean up your thoughts, to clean up the vessel which you all have to hold the divine light within. And the vessel that many of you are walking around in has been contaminated by lower energy which is out there in the collective. Now it is very, very paramount that you take extra care to look after self, to look after the vessel that you own, which is your physical body, at a time of great change in your world. And the great change in our world that Raphael is bringing to our attention is this difference between third and fifth and seventh dimensional realities. And it's as though many of us that are able to hold a fifth dimensional frequency most of the time are still being affected by those at a lower vibration when we lower our defenses. And so we've got to get our act together is what I'm hearing here. It's not a time for rehearsal anymore. It's a time for taking seriously that which we are doing as light workers, and looking after ourselves. And honouring ourselves. The energy of peace together with act is interesting, and I actually feel as though the archangel that wants to come through to help us with those two qualities is Uriel. Okay, so I'm going to get Uriel energy. Archangel Uriel comes in a sort of beautiful red and goldy coloured bottle. Let's see what Uriel has to say when we think about these two qualities, peace, the need for peace, and also the need to act. The angels are coming through very, very quickly as soon as I spray these. So Archangel Uriel, There is no need to keep pushing. There is no need to keep wrestling. There is no need to keep confronting. There is no need to keep challenging those that are operating at a different vibrational frequency from yourself. Allow them to just be, and allow yourself to rise above, to ascend higher, to evolve better, to grow quicker, to live deeper, to expand wider, than ever before. The differences in your world now are real. There is no disguising that fact. And peace will come when you settle into the new vibrational state that is actually your true home. Those of you that are at 5th or 7th dimensional frequency consciousness, rest there and let that be your home. Observe those that operate differently but detach from it. It is not your reality. You do not have to get involved. There was a time upon your earth when we envisioned a state whereby you would be living in 2 separate places, one at 3rd dimension, one at 5th and above. But time is urgent and time is short. And now the decision has been made that both realities can coexist in one place, at one time, on one planet, and this is planet Earth. And so those of you who have made the choice to ascend and be at home in the higher vibrations, be at home there. Those that have decided to stay in a lower vibrational reality, let them stay and be at home there. There is, of course, a bridge between the two that can be crossed from lower to higher, and some will walk that. But it is not your job to cajole, change, or encourage those upon this bridge. It is simply your job to stay in the frequency upon which you land and rest and be and experience that. That makes complete sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you, because with that guidance that's just come through from the Archangels, I can now see that my experience in Cardiff last weekend, I used the word witness, didn't I, before that message came through from the Archangels, and that was all that was required of me, to witness it, to observe it, to try not to judge it, but rather than try and change it, just to stay in the frequency that I was in, okay? Because you can't change another. And this July, it's very important that we maintain the boundaries around our own energetic space and stay true and aligned to that which we have already chosen. And I keep wanting to say that which we have already chosen. It feels that the bulk of humanity have already decided upon which side of the bridge they are going to be on. And there will be, I'm hearing, a stampede over the bridge at an appointed date, with more joining us. But there is a weight of collective consciousness that is already there upon the other side, holding the higher vibration. And you must trust that. And you must start to notice those that hold that and not pay as much attention to those that do not. It is hard because those that do not, when they behave in a way that is quite appalling, it's hard not to notice, particularly when you're walking down the street and it's there right in front of you. But again, all that we're asked to do is just stay in our own vibrational frequency, okay? So I'm going to pull some cards now with regard to some other ascended masters that might be around us this July who are going to help us with these qualities, okay? So we'll go to the Kyle Gray pack now, Keepers of the Light, which I used last video. Whoops, put them up the right way. Keepers of the Light, Kyle Gray. Like his work. I like anyone that's a bit unconventional, to be honest. I like people that are a bit out there. He's a bit out there. The Leo King is a bit out there. I think I'm probably a bit out there. Right. We need to be out there, Metatron is saying, because we need to be shaking things up and changing the status quo. So it's okay to be a bit different. Never forget that. Never go with the masses. Don't follow the crowds. Let the crowds follow you in time. But it will be because they just notice that you're operating in a different way and that you have that energy of peace around you. And they'll suddenly start to realise that and want it and wonder what the secret is. There's no secret, of course, it's just about a different way of being. It's a different way of looking at the world. It's a journey. It's a different path. Okay, 3 beings here, please. I'm going to ask Metatron to bring them through. Got so many blinking archangels in this room. So Metatron, just bring 3 through for us, please, for July. Number 1, Sanat Kimura, light activation. Number 2, Commander Ashtar. Number 3, keep picking this one, Bridget. She came up last week. She is a Celtic goddess and she came up very strongly in Dublin. And in fact, I'll start with her. She's the card of inner strength. And she says, move back to wholeness, okay? Move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. That word wholeness, I think that's sort of summing up what I'm trying to get to within this video, which is that we have allowed ourselves to become a bit scattered through choices that we have made that haven't always honoured our true self, okay? And to be at peace, we need to start to act in a different way. And Bridget comes in here with the invitation I am hearing for us to realign, and I feel this may well be linked into the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, which I will do something for. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but there will be a realignment that takes place then. But maybe that's why I'm also being shown 7-7, because if you think about it, we've got 7-7 and then we've got 8-8. And I feel that on 7-7, there is something that starts to open up in preparation for that. Almost as though we've got a month to start to get our act together in terms of looking after self. Very much linked into light body activation as well that is going on at this time. So we've got Sanat Kimura here, and it says, shine your light, your internal guidance is coming through light, loud and clear. I'll read the message that goes with that one in a moment. I'm not too sure about him. And then we've got Ashtar, okay? Call to action, take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. I was saying that very same thing to some of my Metatron teachers today, that, you know, now is the time for us all to lead, you know, to do it, to walk our talk. There is a call to action now by Ashtar, by the galactic beings who are looking in on Earth. And I actually feel, looking at the mess that some of us have got ourselves into, okay? So it's time to clean up. I just keep hearing those words, clean up, okay? I'm being told to read the message that goes with the middle card, which is the white ray here. So let's see what this one says. Let's just find him. Don't know much about this Ascended Master. Okay, so here we go. Let me put his energy up so you can see him. See if I can tune it in. Camera, come on. What are you doing? Sometimes you do that. Ah, there we go. I'm mastering, it's only taken me months, mastering the camera. Sanat Kumara, which means eternal youth, is an advanced cosmic light being who is dedicated to helping the earth rise up towards the light. He is, as far as I'm concerned, the leader of the keepers of the light. He's been acknowledged as a god in Hinduism, and in the Mahabharata story, which has come down from heaven bearing God's divine plan. In more recent times, he has been acknowledged as coming from Venus and bringing through unconditional love. He has eyes that are made of the cosmos, with the ability to penetrate the soul and activate its brightest light. He can seem otherworldly because his looks are beyond human. He's the twin flame of Lady Venus, and the extended message is you're here to light up the world. You may feel that you are being pushed or that there is a lot going on at once, and this is because your energy is magnetic to others and they want it in their life. Take the time to listen to your own inner voice, remember the cosmic light of heaven and draw it into you. That is all you need to do to inspire the world. So I think putting him with the Ashtar energy, they're both coming in, I feel, on that platinum white ray, really. Again, feels very much about purification, the need for purification at this time. Okay, so I'm going to put those to one side, and then I'm going to end with some tarot cards just to see where, well, any other guidance that comes through for July. And I'm using the Shadowscape tarot deck. July. I did say I was going to do a love reading, and I think I'll probably have to do that separately, but we'll see how the time goes. I also want to do another video on divine intervention, a follow-up one. And let's just concentrate on the 4 cards here for July 2017. Just going to put them into 3 piles here. And I'll take the 4 off the top. Okay. Oh, okay. We're verging into love territory because we've got the Lovers on the bottom of the pack. Okay. The Lovers. We've also got the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. Got the Moon, and we've got the Hermit. So I'm going to put all those together and let's see what we have got. So the Lovers card is about choices, but I'm very aware that there are thousands of people that watch these videos, and having watched a lot of other people who do readings online, particularly love readings, there is no way that you can make a sweeping generalization and say that everybody watching this video is about to either, end a relationship or begin a new one. It just feels nonsense. So what I'm going to do instead is just talk about the themes and the qualities that are coming through. And the theme and the quality that is coming through with the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords, swords are all about mental thought, thinking, the rational mind. needing to make decisions, needing to be very clear and concise, the need for clarity. And we've got it with both the male and the female, the king and the queen. So it feels as though both parties within a particular relationship separately actually need time to actually consider, to think through before making any major decisions. And I feel that's particularly relevant because we've also got the two cards here, which are the Hermit and the Moon. And, you know, the Hermit seems to come up every time I do a tarot reading. It is the need to go within. And I feel next to the Moon card, it's basically saying there is some confusion around at this moment in time. Things are in flux. I know this from my emails that come in. I know lots of you are in flux. Not just with relationships, but particularly with relationships actually at the moment. And it's just, it feels as though, I wanted to say the summer months, but you know, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere. The next few months, they feel as though they're very important, reflective days ahead, weeks ahead. And it feels as though by the time we get to the autumn, there is a clearer ground, a smoother ground to be able to make some decisions with regard to love and relationships. It doesn't have to be the big decision. It doesn't have to be, do I stay or do I go? It could be anything with regard to relationships. It could be to do with, you know, if you're joined together in a partnership, it could be to do with moving house, or it could be to do with career that somehow affects the relationship. But it does feel as though there is a lot of emotion attached to it. And it feels as though both the male and female, or if you're in same-sex relationships, the two of you are at the moment almost operating in your own little bubble a little bit. And one person has got a very fixed idea of things, and then the other person has got their own idea of things. And there does need to be communication that takes place to end this stalemate. But having said that, again, the Hermit card very much ties into this whole thing about the need for self-care, the need for time out, the need for holiday probably and break, to really sort of break the spell of this card. The Moon card to me always is about confusion and illusion. You know, think about the moon and the way that things look very different, don't they, under moonlight as opposed to sunlight. So it's as though you're being given a chance to really look at things differently over the next month or so. In the card for the moon that I'm looking at here, just see if it will focus in on this card properly. Is it going to do that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, you see that card. So we've got the person, and actually they're looking at a mask. Can you see that? They're looking at a mask. And I'm also drawn to the fact we've got all these little mushrooms, little fungi that are growing up from the ground as well under the light of the moon. But the person basically has taken off the mask. They've taken off a mask and they're looking at it as if to say, you know, how am I operating at the moment within this relationship? Does it serve me? Do I want to put that mask back on? Is it still a comfortable fit or not? Okay. So there's a lot of fairy energy as well underneath the person's feet here with all these toadstools, and it just feels very elemental, the whole energy around it. It feels quite magical, the energy around it. It's as though the next month or so you need to allow in the energy of magic, the energy of spirit. You know, it ties into the divine intervention video that I put out. It's as though I don't feel July is a month for huge major decisions. I feel it's more a month for allowing spirit in, but also it's that whole thing about head and heart again. It keeps coming up over and over again. You know, you have got to do some head work, but equally you've also got to open your heart up to the magic that wants to come in to recreate the relationship anew or to help you move on in some way, okay? Let's see I want to just draw another card to make it 6. So we've got an even number again. What comes after the moon? What is the energy that comes after the moon? Oh, okay. Well, you saw me do that live, so I haven't manipulated it. The energy that comes in after the moon is the Tower card, okay? The Tower. Okay. No one likes the energy of the Tower, but I personally love it because the Tower is there to help you. The Tower is there to help you when you have got stuck, when you have got stagnant, when you have not been able to maybe make the decisions that the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords need to make. You know, just because I'm saying July is a month to retreat and reflect and go within, I haven't actually said you get the answer, okay? Some of you will, but not everybody. And those that haven't come to a conclusion or reached any firm decision, it's as though the Tower energy is there waiting in the wings to come in. And then after that, we've got the Seven of Pentacles, which is the energy of a woman, and she's picking fruit from a tree. And it feels quite a sort of voluptuous energy. She looks voluptuous, but equally the fruit is plump. You know, it's being picked. She's got a full basket there full of peaches or whatever it's supposed to be that she's, you know, picking. So there is a reward that comes in after that Tower energy. Okay, I am going to now go into another subject because I feel it's relevant. And I'm sorry because I know this video is a little bit all over the place, but I'm afraid that's just the energy at the moment. There is so many different things going on. It's actually very hard just to focus on one thing and one thing alone. So what I want to talk about now is divine intervention, okay? Because I feel with this love reading, for example, that's sitting here, for some of you, as I said last month, there is an energy of divine intervention at play. You're almost being given another few weeks, maybe another few months, but it doesn't feel as though it's that long, to try to sort it out yourself. For the King and Queen of Swords to, you know, respectfully have their own space, but then also get their own heads together and come up with a plan, whatever that is, okay? A decision. Move away from the illusion of the moon and come out from being the hermit and make the decision that the Lover's card suggests needs to be made. If that doesn't happen, we've got the Tower energy that will come in and do it for you. So don't be scared by that. And why I don't want you to be scared by that is I want to talk about divine intervention more than I did last time. And I want to share two stories with you, which I feel hopefully will help you understand the way that spirit works, okay? Those of you that follow my Facebook page, which is quite a lot of you, I know, but I'm still going to repeat the story because it's worth repeating. So get your cup of tea now, just settle down. Metatron's joking, he says it's like Jack and Ori. Jack and Ori was a children's TV programme in the UK when I was a girl, and used to sit down and somebody would be in a chair and they'd just tell a story. And this is a bit of a story, but it's a good one, and it also has some real wisdom and depth to it and learning. So on Friday, no, sorry, what day is it? The day feels as though it was important. It was Saturday. What day was Saturday? Saturday was the 1st of July. That's probably why I've just been asked to look at it, okay? Saturday was the 1st of July, and we were coming back from Cardiff by train, me, my daughter and her friend, and there were a number of events that basically conspired to get me onto a particular train where a woman basically jumped in front of the train and committed suicide. And I was able, with the help of quite a lot of you on Facebook, to send healing and light to that situation literally as it was happening, because it had happened right in front of me. And I feel it was a case of spirit intervening to put me on that train, because I shouldn't have been on the train. And I want to just share that story with you, and another one about divine intervention, to help you understand the way that spirit can step in and do things which are completely and utterly illogical. That was completely illogical, is completely illogical. Okay, so the two stories. Number one, the train that I shouldn't have been on, but Spirit got me onto. I was standing on the platform at Cardiff, awaiting the 2:30 train to Portsmouth. And on that train, I would have had to have changed at Southampton. And I made a mental note of the stop before Southampton. And I remember doing that. I also remember standing underneath the sign for platform number 2. I literally was standing underneath the number 2. And it got to about 25 past, and the intercom came on the station, and it said there was another train drawing into platform 1 going to London Paddington. And I remember clocking that also, and I remember looking around just out of interest to see where platform 1 was, and I couldn't see it. And I remember thinking it must be behind me, because it clearly wasn't where I was standing, and I couldn't see it over the rail tracks, wasn't the other side. Didn't think any more of it. My train pulls in, I get on it with the girls, going towards Portsmouth, and I just settle down in my seat. And the stations rattle off as they were meant to rattle off. And at some point I started to feel a bit tired, and I just dozed. But it was that type of dozing where you're still aware of your surroundings. I was still aware of my daughter and her friend talking about Justin Bieber. And I was still aware I was in the carriage, but I was in that really lovely sense of deep relaxation where you're half asleep and half awake. Anyway, I eventually start to come to after a period, I would think, of about half an hour at most, more like 20 minutes probably. And I had a sense that it must be about time to change train. And at that moment when I was thinking it must be about time to change train, the conductor came on over the intercom and said, "We're just approaching London Paddington station," which would have taken a good other hour, which hadn't actually even taken place, hadn't passed. And I completely freaked out because I thought, how on earth are we about to pull into London Paddington? I'm not on that train. Anyway, sure enough, the train comes into London. We get off with me completely and utterly confused in terms of what's happened. I was also quite upset because I'm obviously in charge of 2 girls who are under my care, and it's at least another 2 hours to get home from London, and we should have been nearly home if I'd been on the right train. A guard sort of takes me under her wing and really goes above the call of duty. She makes a point of walking me personally to the train that I then needed to get on from London to make my way home. And it wasn't a direct train. I would again have had to have changed somewhere. But I was so grateful for her. She took me all the way through the gates. She saw me onto the train, and she even had a word with the guard of that new train, saying to them, this lady has missed her stop, and I didn't need to pay anything extra. So she was a little angel that came in just when I was feeling, quite vulnerable. So the train pulls out of London, and all of a sudden it just shudders to a stop, and it swerves, and it felt a bit like, when you're on an aeroplane and it lands and the plane is trying to get its balance, and it feels as though it's about to go off, on its side, but it doesn't. It stabilizes itself. And it was a bit like that. And I remember thinking, oh, that's not normal. The train stops, and then the guard who I had been talking to 5 minutes before comes on and is very shaken and basically says that somebody has thrown themselves in front of the train, and we will be staying there for at least a couple of hours, waiting for the police, waiting for ambulance support, awaiting for somebody to remove the body, and also awaiting for a new driver of the train. And I knew at that instance that however the hell I had got on this train that I shouldn't have been on, that Spirit had somehow stepped in and timelines had been interfered with, and I was now on the train that I was originally always meant to be on. And at that moment, I sent prayers, I sent healing to the person that was obviously under the wheels of the train. And that's what it was about. That's what was meant to happen. So Spirit intervened on that day, on Saturday for me, in a way that I still don't quite understand. I still don't quite understand how I even was on that London train, because I shouldn't have been on it. I wasn't standing on platform 1, but it happened. It makes no logical explanation. There is no logical explanation for it. One of the second big instances I've had in my life of divine intervention was actually when I met my husband over 16 years ago. And I had come out of my first marriage. I wasn't in a particularly happy space. I was quite lonely. And I remember one day, it was a Friday night, and I just felt a bit bored, and I was flicking through the local newspaper, and I saw an advert for a dating agency. And Spirit, what I realise now was Spirit, drew the particular advert to my attention. And I was compelled, is the only way I can say, to pick up the phone and ask if I could join. And don't forget, this was 16 years ago. Now it's really common to meet people, you know, through these things, or to meet people online. But 16 years ago, it was still a bit odd. It still had a bit of a stigma attached to it, that, you know, you had to be a bit of a sado really to do something like that. And it was completely and utterly out of character for me to do that. I've never needed lots of, you know, male company. If I'm on my own, I'm on my own. I actually quite enjoy my own company. So it was out of character. And I ended up joining this agency. It cost me about £400 to join that agency 16 years ago. And unbeknown to me, my husband-to-be, John, was also being pushed by Spirit to join the agency. We lived 100 miles away from each other. And it just happened that the agency that I joined also had a branch in Bournemouth, where John lived. And John was 40. He'd never been short of female admirers. He'd had girlfriend after girlfriend, but he'd never been married. And I think he just wanted to settle down. And he had a friend who was in her 80s, who was very spiritual, clairvoyant as well. And I think she knew that John was restless. And she kept saying to him, you have to join this particular agency. There's somebody that you're meant to meet. And being a man and being very grounded and not particularly into signs or spirituality at that time, he just thought, no, what a load of nonsense. I'm not doing that. And I'm certainly not going to pay £400 to join an agency when I can go into Bournemouth town centre and meet a girl there. Anyway, the lady, she was called Penny, she's dead now, wouldn't let it drop. And she kept going on and on and on. She was like an earth angel. And eventually, I think more than anything to shut Penny up, John joined the agency. And within about a month, we had basically met and got together. And I look back at that event now and I realised that the divine intervened, because there was no way I was going to meet John living in Marlow in Buckinghamshire as I did then. He was 100 miles away on the south coast. We had no shared interests at all. We still don't, to be honest. But the angels knew that we were supposed to be the parents to the children that have been born. And they arranged it, you know, as simple as that. They arranged it. The divine stepped in and intervened and actually took over both of our free will, I believe, in that moment. Because if you knew me 16 years ago, even if you know me today, you know that I don't do things like join dating agencies, and John certainly doesn't. And it was just an example of where this is how spirit works, basically, okay? Another example, going back to the train journey on Saturday, after, you know, the episode with the person on the line, we eventually pulled into another station. I still needed to change trains to get back to Bournemouth. And there was a train to Bournemouth waiting when we arrived. I thought, great. And I ran towards it with the girls. And we missed it by, I'm not exaggerating, about 15 seconds. As I got to the door, the guard blew the whistle and she actually looked me in the eyes and she said, I'm sorry, I can't hold it off anymore. And I said to her, I said, we've just been sat for 2.5 hours on that last train. And she just looked at me, she said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. Well, at that moment, I had a bit of a sense of humour bypass, I have to be honest. I was actually very tired by now. I was getting a bit cross. I just wanted to get home. And I thought, okay, great. We've now got to wait for another train. I don't know when we're going to be home. Eventually, after about half an hour, another train comes in. I sit down on the train and I'm just wanting to get home by now. But then I realise, literally right in front of me, I've sat down in front of a poster, and it is a poster which is either promoting an art gallery, exhibition or a film, I don't know. But all I noticed was it was a great big poster right in front of my chair, and it just had one word written on it, and it was Raphael, Archangel Raphael, who I knew was one of the angels that had helped on the previous train. And I also knew that I was meant to have missed the other train because I needed to sit in that seat to see that poster, to get that sign from Raphael. That poster hadn't been on the other train. Is this all starting to make sense? Because the whole thing with this thing about intervention and angels stepping in to change things is that you only start to make sense of it afterwards, okay? So if we go back to what originally prompted this discussion, the love reading effectively that we've got for July, which is telling you to just hold fast a little bit, you know, to still try and get to resolution, to communicate, to think things through, to also open up your heart, to allow in the magic. But if all else fails and you can't reach resolution in a few months' time, we've got the Tower energy that wants to come in here to basically help us. And the Tower will come in via divine intervention to put us back onto the path that we should have already been on. Okay? So there's a lot of messages coming through there, and I know I've thrown quite a lot at you in one video, but as I say, it's just the energy that we're in at this time. I'm going to end with one final card from the Cheryl Richardson pack, and this is just a quality to leave you with. Let's just see what the final energy is. Okay, so final energy for July, Archangel Metatron. What do we need to hold on to? We need to listen. Okay, that's what we need to do. We need to listen. And it says, when we feel overly attached to an outcome, it's simply an indication that we need to reconnect with our wise self. And I'm going to end just by spraying the Archangel Gabriel spray, which links into soul calling and guidance, okay? But above all else, for me, Gabriel is about opening up our ears, opening up our senses to be able to hear spirit also. So let's bring through the Gabriel energy. The white ray. The white ray is always available, always there to bring you back to a state of grace and peace and balance. Breathe in my white ray of purification, and this July, let it help you listen to the calling of your own heart, the stirrings of your own soul. I am with you, and all is well. Archangel Gabriel. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, everybody. Much love to you. I'll be back soon. Namaste. Have a good July.